Spiritism can help you through life's challenges. This is Adriano Ferreira. Adriano is the president and one of the founders of the Mount Vernon Spiritist Center. He's been studying Spiritism for the past 13 years. At the Mount Vernon Spiritist Center, he develops and coordinates Spiritist study groups and is a fraternal counselor. Adriano also gives lectures on Spiritism in the New York and tri-state area, so please welcome Adriano Ferreira.
Good afternoon, everyone. May we all be in tune with the higher powers which brought us together for this so important topic about suicide, in which we are connected to help one another in this earth in which we are all brothers and sisters. Once the Spirit told me, could you please light up a candle? I found myself in so deep darkness. Could you please light a candle? And that's which I carry on through my simple and humble efforts in my day-to-day life. As a small candle, in which for those who may be in darkness and shadows, is a tremendous difference. It helps to see the next step. And that's my will this afternoon among so great stars here in this moment. Death is before me today, as a man hopes to see his house when he has spent years in captivity. Death is before me today. This is a verse of 6 verses of a composed poem that is supposed to be the first suicide note collected. And it is in the Berlin Museum and considered by Chris Thomas, the psychiatric doctor, to be the first suicide note collected in that museum. And it has been written 4,000 years ago by an Egyptian. I'm sure, and data goes, that it's not the first person, a man or woman, a kid or not, to commit suicide. Quite contrary, since the dawn of our existence on earth, maybe from the hunter-gatherer to today, people is being killing themselves by suicide. We know this. The search goes and goes. Our efforts on earth in every field is large, is hard, researching the causes, the consequences, and prevention and remedies to help. We found a lot of answers, a lot of reasons for suicide. We know the ways, main ways by far, much before technology. Seneca long ago has described for a person to kill him or herself is around the corner. Jumping from a car, from a mountain, hanging. Ways are close at hand anytime. But the ways changing through time. In the United States, some research says that the firearms are the highest way to kill oneself. It's needless to say why. They are too close at hand. But if they couldn't find a firearm, they could find other ways to kill themselves. We know millions and millions of people are killing themselves in different ways. And the question that everyone asks is why? Why? We have talked here, the other great speakers and so forth, after me, about the whys. There's a lot of answers out there from research, doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, the ones who study only suicide. They found answers to that, the cause. And I go through here some slides, bringing some research on. I'm sure there are much more research in different ways that complete my one, the one that I brought. And that's why I bring in here so we can reflect on the importance of Spiritism to overcome the challenge of daily lives. Our friend has talked a lot about the challenges, and there are many more. But in here, some research said the illness most commonly responsible for suicide are the psychiatric disorders. And nowhere is the danger of suicide more real than the mood disorders, depression, and maniac depression. Mood disorders in combination with alcohol and drug abuse are by far the most common psychiatric condition associated with suicide. An estimated 30 to 7% of people who kill themselves are victims of mood disorders. The rate is even higher when depression coexists with alcohol and drug abuse. Here we can have a touch base with some of the things, illnesses that humankind are going through today. They are known everywhere. You can go to see. And those are challenges, the deeper challenges for those that want or they are prone or in risk of committing suicide. Among ourselves here, we may be within these kind of illnesses and may have experienced the will to take our life away. There is this that it touched my particular reflection of this very afternoon. The sense of unmanageable, of hopelessness, of invasive negativity about the future is in fact one of the most consistent warning signs of suicide. Aaron Beck and its colleagues at the University of Pennsylvania have shown in the extensive series of studies that hopelessness is strongly related to eventual suicide in both depressed inpatients and outpatients. So too has Jen Ferguson of Chicago, Rush Presbyterian Hospital in his long-term prediction suicide, studies of suicide. People seem to be able to bear or tolerate depression as long as there is the belief that things will improve. If that belief cracks or disappears, suicide becomes the options of choice. My main point here regarding using the Spiritism to overcome suicide is about hope. There is, if we go deep studying in all realms of suicide, self-violence, negativity of any kind, the lack of hope is there. Hopelessness is there, is in us in many ways. And as we go deep in Spiritism, that's the main pillar of Spiritism, is to bring hope. To bring hope. And then we're going to see a little later how Spiritism are bringing hope for everyone, not only those ones who are in risk or considering suicide. If hopelessness is one of the great causes to lead one person to kill their bodies, and then Spiritism are working exactly there to bring hope for everyone. I lost this paper here, but I'm going to use the... In short, when people are suicidal, their thinking is paralyzed, their options appear spare or non-existent. Their mood is despairing, and hopelessness penetrates their entire mental domain. The future cannot be separated from the present, and the present is too painful beyond solace. Here's a description and a reflection about the condition of hopelessness. The person going through the struggle tend to think and believe that their struggle will never end. They will extend over and over and over and over. In such a state that their minds are harmed, their brains and their physiology is going through a lot of difficulties. And there is other research, a paper published in 1990s by Bernstein Roy, talks about another factor for a suicidal person. Is a self-perception, a self-regard. And in most cases, empirical research shows that the person, the suicidal person, has or have a self-hate. They don't love themselves at all, and as we study, they consider themselves the worst living person on earth. and the willingness to escape from itself, from him or herself, leads them the option, the last option, to commit a suicide, is to commit violence against him or herself. That's the last option for the person. And when we consider hope as essential for a living being on earth or anywhere in the universe, it is so true that even for those that kill themselves every second on the planet, there is a hope in them, even though it is a false hope. Because they are willing to get something better. They want to escape from the pain. And as their belief goes, they think that by killing their bodies, they'll get something better. Even the destruction of themselves, as their set of beliefs tell them. No exist anymore is better than existing now. It's a kind of belief, it's a kind of hope that the person has, is to escape from the pain, from the conflict, from the negativity that they are going through. But it is a false and distorted kind of hope. The hope we have in Spiritism is much different. It's the hope that brings integrity and good consequences, and show it by evidence why we need to have hope. But hope, sometimes for those in risk and difficult of these previous illnesses, depression, or many other illnesses, schizophrenia or any other thing, or going through a challenge, is difficult to find because sometimes it's scarce. The information, the education, the teachings to show them that they are wrong, that their perception are wrong. But it doesn't happen with Spiritism. It doesn't happen with Spiritism. Just get a paper. Let's consider, for example, some suicide notes. I wish I die soon. Oh, how I love you. But I'm not fitted. I'm not fitted to be your husband or leave. And I now have taken the most poisonous poison that will kill me soon. That is a 25-year-old man that was struggling through unemployment and had to bring his wife to prostitution to help them cope with life. I wish I could explain so someone could understand it. I'm afraid it is something I can't put into words. Those are words and notes that are spread everywhere from those ones that committed suicide. But even though there are those notes, we can really grasp what is going within the whole universe of this person. this director of the Frankenstein movies, in his suicide note, he put more or less in this way: I have wonderful friends. They try to help me in every way. But this last year, I have tried and tried, and it doesn't get better. Take comfort, because I will be and suffer no more. They comfort me. That's the belief and distortion of the person. That man thought that by committing suicide, he will suffer no more. That's tremendously misconception of death and of himself. And then, now, we're going to see here the next slides, how Spiritism comes into it. Some of these excerpts was taken from the book Nightfall Fast. And I encourage you to read this book, and as well as the Suicide Risk Manual, David Jobs, 1995. How Spiritism can help us. Here I brought 3 main points in which Spiritism are gaining lives on earth and preventing suicide and many other difficulties and struggles for it. Spiritism shows us that we are immortal souls. Great majorities of those who kill themselves, they don't see themselves as immortal. They see themselves as a body that once finished is finished all. In this way, the person, the people who see themselves as immortal is taking away their belief that killing themselves is good. Because they will know that they can't in any way, by studying Spiritism, they will kill themselves. The only thing they do is killing their bodies or our bodies. And Spiritism brings all the evidence ever possible on this planet to support that we are immortal. Even science, the mainstream science and so forth, are supporting this idea. So in that way, every teaching of the Spiritism is giving the person the sense of authority. Only by this belief, if we only had it in Spiritism, will be enough to help us, to help humankind think twice or many more before going to commit suicide. But how hope comes into belief that immortality of the soul will prevent me to kill themselves. And then there is more. We have a loving God. The Spirit brings as well the most powerful evidence in anywhere, any corner of this planet, that God exists and it or he or she is loving. Loving. No matter what circumstances or moral standards the human beings could be or is on earth, God loves him or herself in the same way as he loves the angels. Because we see a sense of lack of love, not only the suicide risk people or the suicidal ones, but it's spread every corner in any relationship that we have. A sense of lack of love for oneself is a lot. And that's why we go for those risks. If we can't help a lot to love ourselves, we have someone out there powerful enough to love us in disregard of anything in our life. The one who created the universe and manages it as we see it, day after day in harmony. So loving me, well, and that gives us a sense that is, despite we may feel that society doesn't love us, our family doesn't care about us, our friends, well, they don't care. No. Spiritism is every day showing us by every detail that there's God, or you can call Supreme Power, other names, is the one that never fails on loving us. So that way, when we are in this paranoid state of mind, emptiness, and then we consider there is someone loving me. We are immortal spirits not created on the conception, as the Spiritist teaches us. But millennium back, we have a history that is lost in time. Then today, we are the result of our past lives. But we see those illnesses influencing to bring us suicidal thoughts and suicide. We get to remember that these illnesses is or are the result of our past lives, experiences, and now they are pressing us for this or that way to fall. Some fall to death, some other find on them reasons to live. And that the reasons to live that is Spiritism is teaching us. I lost track of time. How many minutes I have more? I always do that. I don't know why. Then how many minutes more, please?
You said 10 minutes or so.
And as well, every problem has its end. This is something that Spiritism is really huge as well. Since we are immortal spirit, if it doesn't end in this lifetime, it ends afterward. So there is this sense of hope. This thing will pass. That sense that the research is saying to us that the struggle is forever. There is no room anymore to think that the worst is be the worst forever. Taking away the sense that eternity of the darkness in us. That no matter what circumstance, conflict, illnesses, or any struggle that we're going through is bound to have an end. And it could be tomorrow, a minute later. We never know it. But what we know, it has an end. And it is in the law of the universe, which we call one of the law of progress. Law of temporality, transient, which goes for a moment. So all those people, they will say to themselves, no, well, there is something else. There's hope. This is just temporary. I'll suffer it a day more, a week more, a month more, 1 year more, a life more, because it is worth, and I'm correcting myself through education. And it is so true that this works that might be elsewhere, and maybe among ourselves that are questioning. Could you prove to me that Spiritism, with these ideas and teachings, prevent people to kill themselves? Well, there's no official research, but you can ask by phone, WhatsApp, whatever you want to Google. Spiritism has 150 something years on earth. Have you heard someone in Spiritism commit suicide? Have you had one that really committed suicide in your family, which were and is a Spiritist? There's no statistic. There's no numbers enough to make a statistic. Might be someone that killed him or herself being a Spiritist. But I never heard one that actually came to conclusion of their act. I have heard attempts, very rare, but they are. But not killing themselves in 150 years, in these 150 years in which the records of suicide has grown in every sense of the word. Among others. We're not saying other religions not preventing or other science, but in bringing the idea here and bringing the evidence to support that Spiritism through this I'm bringing here and the other colleagues will bring, prevents and helps the person not to kill himself in a struggle in life. And the data is for everyone to see in your own eyes, hear to your own ear. And because our time is short. Kardec, Allan Kardec, he records in the annals of Spiritism the first person to be saved from suicide. He tells, more or less in these words, when he received a Spiritist book copy from someone. And this someone wrote to him in the page of that same book, Sir Allan Kardec. I was in this bridge in Paris, and I was going to jump to commit suicide. But when I was preparing myself to jump, I saw something fall on the floor. I was curious about it. Guess what? When I took it, was this book, this Spiritist book. And it was on it a writing of someone else that said, this book has saved my life. it could save yours too. And that man was so grateful that sent Allan Kardec a brand new, redesigned cover for the book and gave up for suicide. In the very beginning of the Spiritism, there is two lives that was saved and prevented through Spiritism. There's no more records on paper, but we assure there were these two right in the first months. How it can be through 150 years, millions of lives were prevented to die. And it came to my mind about to wrap this reflection. George Washington Bridge, that means bridge, Golden Gate Bridge. There are bridges everywhere, in many places that people are going to kill themselves. And the work of the authorities is being expensive in preventing these people to jump on the bridge. They put phones that the person could call and have a conversation. They put fancy, high, and awfully difficult for them to jump. A lot of things are being doing to help. But I thought, and I never saw it. There's not a book on the bridges like the Spiritist books or other spiritual teachings from other great people, wise people, teachings of other religions. I never seen people, there's a window there for a person to grab a book with a spiritual message. That could be there, a Spirit's book, Gospel according to Spirit, to say, you are loved by God. You are immortal. Don't kill yourself. Message like this may be a screen showing messages of sympathy, of love. Not only putting fancies or fonts, but as well these. If you have saved in the Kardec's time the book and the bridge, why not will be saved in today's lives? This is within reach of us to do, but I dream more. Why not for the future? The outdoors, the brilliant outdoors on the highways. Today they are showing reasons to commit suicide. Indirect though. Buying, materialism, money. I never seen an outdoor talking about spirituality and love. Have you ever tried to yourself, you've been loved by someone? No. For the future, our outdoors propaganda will be the propaganda of love. Immortality of the soul, that your trouble will go finish. Have you imagined a person driving the stressed and suddenly he's seen outdoor? Your trouble will be only temporary. He might not crash his car to commit suicide or be stressed. Those are things that Earth, our planet, will experience. Because people, candles, today there are us all among so much darkness, are starting to shine. But for the future, there will be stars shining throughout this planet. And we get together this day for day. And to end my talk, We are the heart of the universe. Angels are singing in this moment in our heart. And for that, I invite Isabel to sing for you. And this may be, well, who knows, in the bridges, some song like this, to bring the deepest hope that we need to cope with our struggles.
Where angels sing.